Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Ms. Coppedge. Thank you for the courtesy of our visit last week. I want to remind, for the record, remind those of us here that this issue could have been swept under. We could have taken that TIP report, put it on a shelf, and let it sit there. I want to commend the ranking member, Senator Cardin, and our chairman, Senator Corker, for not letting that happen. And I think the fact that you have four of the most distinguished senators of our time sitting here before you today, and I'm not one of those. These four gentlemen are very dedicated to this issue, I know personally, and they've got other things to do this morning, but they're here because of this nomination and how important it is. And I applaud all of them for that. I'm honored that, Mr. Chairman, that our nominee today is from Georgia. I've watched her for the last decade attack this with a vigor. I think your question, Senator Menendez, should have been directed toward her husband to see if she really has the iron will. I suspect that she does. You know, I applaud the work you've been doing. You're coming on a new level now and a new stage. And I want to clear a couple things for the record that we talked about last week. In my career in business, I've been very sensitive to this idea of taking advantage of the weak in our societies around the world. And every culture is a little different. This is a major impediment to me for international trade. And one of the things that make us one world and a peaceful world is the fact that we don't take advantage, we don't stand for people who take advantage of the weak among us. And yet children for the last 50 years have been definite victims of global issues and power struggles around the world. Today, in this 15 report, I'm not asking for your opinion about the 15 report, but I do want to talk to you about children soldiers. Child labor has been a topic for the last 50 years as globalization has taken root and so forth. A lot of progress has been made. In children soldiers, though, I'm not so sure that much progress has been made. There are 8 countries in this TIP report, countries like Burma, Congo, Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen, are listed as countries who have forces that openly have children soldiers. I know you have a sensitive spot in your heart about this. This is a little bit different level than what you've been dealing with. And not all of these countries are on this year's report's worst level. So my question is, as we look forward, will the fact that Tier 3, countries that have children soldiers, is that a major issue with regard to countries being placed on Tier 3?
Well, Senator, child soldiering is certainly a horrible issue that everyone is against in this room, and I am glad that you brought it up. And the TIP report does list every year countries that engage children as soldiers or children as workers in their armies or armed forces. And that's required by the Child Soldier Prevention Act, which governs this area. It is listed in the TIP report, and it is certainly one of the factors that is evaluated in the report when looking at the tier rankings.
Are you hopeful we can eliminate that?
I'm hopeful we can do lots of things, Senator. That is on the list. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Along with that, you've heard discussed here today, and I think one of our concerns looking at this 15 report is the efficacy of the report. It should be the gold standard that we and others can depend on when we evaluate countries in terms of where we put businesses, how we deal with them in the State Department, and how we think about them here in Congress. But we now learn that in this report in 2015, there are several countries that just don't comply. Several years, Germany has not provided information. Now, we have no reason to suspect they're not a continuing Tier 1 operator, but the fact that they're not providing information gives me pause. The fact that India, again, has not provided information, they are still solidly a Tier 2 player in the report. How will you, in your role, help to maintain the efficacy of this report, not just to make sure it's not politicized, but also to make sure that the participating countries provide the information that's so important for you to make your determination?
So one of the factors that I understand the TIP report considers is whether the government provides information and data, because that is the best source of prosecutions and support being provided to victims. And that if no information is forthcoming, then the TIP report and the office has to assume that they're not making efforts in that area. So I know that that is built into the review of the report. I also understand that we get information from civil society in a country and NGOs as well, but certainly governments are encouraged and requested to provide information.
You know, there's a reported tension between JTIP and the Regional Bureau of State and U.S. missions overseas that go back to JTIP's creation back in 2001. Some observers contend that while JTIP is praised for raising the policy profile of human trafficking, its ability to project its anti-trafficking messages as a priority is hampered by its perceived unequal footing vis-a-vis the regional bureaus at state. How will you resolve this? I mean, this goes across all the responsibilities at state, it looks like. How will you weigh in to make sure that doesn't negatively affect our ability to evaluate these countries?
Senator, I will work to build relationships with regional offices and with our missions in the field. They are also a great source of information to the TIP office about what's going on with respect to trafficking in that country. I want to get the trafficking message clearly out to the regions and the missions, and just build those relationships up so that we are on equal footing with other offices there. Obviously, there are competing priorities, as Senator Cardin recognized, but JTIP and TIP office needs to have a loud voice at the table, and someone that individuals are willing to work with, and I will strive to be that person.
Well, thank you for your answers and congratulations on your nomination. Mr. Chairman, I look forward to fully supporting this nominee and her impact on this report going forward. Thank you.